The afternoon sun slanted through the storage room's window, but its light felt frozen, casting no warmth on the hay-strewn floor. I huddled in the corner, my fingers tracing the copper badge Kaylan had slipped into my hand yesterday as he left, saying, "Hold it tight if you're in danger." Etched with the guard's lion emblem, its edges were worn smooth, still carrying the faint warmth of his palm. A sudden rush of footsteps broke the silence. Not Kaylan's steady boots, but Leon's erratic, as if running or hesitating. My heart clenched, and I started to duck behind the haystack when the door slammed open with a bang. Leon stood there, pale, sweat beading on his forehead, his spear clattering to the ground, the sound jarring in the quiet camp. "Ella," his voice trembled, eyes avoiding mine. "Father Falk, he knows you can use runes." My heart froze, the badge biting into my palm. "You told him?" Leon's head dropped, hands clutching his hair, his voice breaking. "He threatened me, said if I didn't talk, he'd tell the king I withheld information, drag my family to the church. I had no choice, Ella, no choice." His words hit like a hammer, blurring my vision. I thought of Kaylan by the fire, promising to be my temporary light. His back shielding me in the infirmary, but now that light seemed to flicker out. Where's Kaylan? I clung to a shred of hope. He's patrolling. He should be back soon, right? "The captain's still outside the city," Falk said. "They'll grab you first, then make him answer for his crimes." Before Leon could finish, the clank of armor and the familiar clatter of Falk's rosary beads. Clack, clack, echoed closer, like death's footsteps. Leon stumbled back, colliding with church soldiers in silver armor, their chains glinting, faces blank as predatory crows. Falk followed, his crimson robes pooling like blood in the sunlight, his smile deceptively gentle as he twirled his beads. "Miss Ella, no need to hide. Come with us." "I've done nothing wrong." I shrank back, my back hitting the cold iron rack. "Runes are for protection, not evil. You can't take me. That's for the church to decide." Falk waved a hand, and 2 soldiers rushed forward, their rough chains biting my wrists, the cold iron stinging my skin. I struggled, but they pinned me down. The copper badge slipped from my hand, falling into the hay with a faint thud, the last piece of Kaylan's protection, gone. As they dragged me out, I saw Leon behind a tent, hands covering his face, shoulders shaking. He whispered, "I'm sorry," as I passed, but I didn't look back. Tears hit the chains, splashing faintly. I didn't blame him. I hated the church's greed, the cursed purge of heretics, my own powerlessness. The tribunal was in the church's undercroft, down steep, slippery stone steps. Candlelight cast swaying shadows on the walls, like grasping hands. The air reeked of scorched metal, sandalwood, and dust, turning my stomach. The chamber was vast, a rusted iron rack at its center, shackles dangling. A heavy Bible rested on a high platform beside a brazier where a branding iron glowed red, the word heretic etched on its tip, menacing in the firelight. Falk sat below the platform, quill in hand, a blank sheet before him. "Sit." He gestured to a stone bench by the rack, his tone soft but chilling. Soldiers forced me down, chaining my wrists to the bench's iron ring, trapping me. Falk rose, brandishing the branding iron, its heat washing over me, singeing my hair. He held it before my face, the red heretic blinding. "Miss Ella, write down the runes' incantations, their secrets, and help the church control beasts. Do that, and I'll spare you, make you the church's rune master, with endless riches." "I won't help you." Tears fell despite my clenched jaw. My mother said runes are nature's gift. For protection, not your power grab. You burned her, and now you want me. Never. Never. Falk's face darkened, the iron inching closer, its heat stinging my wrist where rune traces lingered. Pulsing as if alive with my anger, "This iron will scar you for life." And deeper. He paused, eyes cruel. "Your hand might never draw runes again." I clenched my fists, nails drawing blood. I saw my mother's defiant eyes as she burned. I couldn't let her die in vain, couldn't let runes become the church's weapon. Burn me, I won't talk, Falk sneered, grabbing my chin, forcing my gaze up. His fingers, cold with sandalwood, bit like venomous fangs. You think Kaylan will save you? He's patrolling. By the time he returns, you'll have confessed, even if he tries. He can't defy the church. He's the king's guard, not your savior. His words stabbed my heart. Kaylan was bound by duty to the king. The church, how could he risk his honor for me? Your runes heal, but they can't cure the church's greed. Falk raised the iron. Now an inch from my wrist, my skin burning. Speak, or this iron takes your power. Choose. I closed my eyes, tears hitting the stone floor. Mother, I'm sorry, I couldn't protect your runes. Kaylan, I'm sorry, I won't see you again. A deafening crash shook the door, wood splintering. Falk froze, glancing back. I opened my eyes, hope flickering. Was it Kaylan? Falk's face twisted, the iron descending. Even if he's here, he can't save you. Feel the iron first. The heat closed in, my heartbeat thundering. Then a familiar roar, raw with fury I'd never heard. Will Kaylan confront Falk first or free Ella's chains? Will Leon's aid turn the tide or merely delay the crisis? The iron's heat licked my wrist, my skin stinging as if pierced by needles. Falk's branding iron was half an inch away, the red heretic blurring through my tears. I bit my lip, tasting blood, clinging to one thought. Even if my hand was ruined, he wouldn't get the rune's secrets. Clang. The iron door exploded inward, wood shards flying, candles flickering wildly, tearing shadows apart. A black figure stormed in, silver sword flashing in the candlelight, slicing through the stifling heat. Stop! Kaylan's voice, darker, angrier than in the forest, carried a reckless resolve. Falk's hand froze, the iron hovering above my wrist. I felt Kaylan's presence, leather and sweat, his scent grounding me. His sword moved faster than my eyes could follow. A sharp clank rang out as he knocked the iron away, sending it spinning across the stone floor, sparks dying in the hay. Falk stumbled back, crashing into the Bible stand, pages scattering like a wail in the wind. Kaylan, you dare defy me. Falk's voice cracked, stripped of its calm, now raw with fury. She's a heretic? The church will deal with her, and you stand in the way? Kaylan ignored him, stepping in front of me, his black uniform blocking my view, shielding me from Falk's glare. His broad back was tense, his breathing ragged, his sword hand trembling, not with fear, but rage. Unlock her chains, he told the church soldiers, his voice cold as ice. They hesitated, and Falk shouted, Don't listen, he's rebelling, seize him. As a soldier reached for me, Kaylan's sword swept forward, its edge grazing the man's armor with a humming threat. I said, Unlock her. His tone dripped with menace. The soldier's face paled, fumbling for keys, hastily freeing my wrists. The chains clattered to the floor, leaving red marks on my skin, cold from the iron. I shifted forward, my fingers brushing Kaylan's uniform, wet, not with sweat, but warm, sticky blood. My heart sank. I grabbed his sleeve, lifting it slightly. A gash gleamed in the candlelight, blood seeping, staining the fabric dark red from breaking the door. Or Falk's men. You're hurt. My voice shook, fingers reaching for the wound, but he caught my hand. His palm was hot, slick with blood, pressing my hand down gently. Don't worry, he said softly, eyes still on Falk, his tone softening for me. Stay back. Stay back. Falk laughed, rising, clutching a fallen candlestick. Neither of you is leaving. The church's soldiers are outside. Defy us and you're traitors. Even the king can't save you. He lunged toward Kaylan's back. I dodged aside, heart racing, when rapid footsteps echoed. Falk gaped, then roared. You forgot what I told you. Your family's in the church's hands. I haven't forgotten. Leon's voice broke, but he stood firm. I remember how the captain protected us, how you lied to me. I found you feeding beasts in the forest, hiding their wounded. You didn't want their lairs. You wanted Ella to control them. His words struck like thunder. Stunning me, Falk's guide request was a trap to catch me, to use my runes for his beasts. My mother's beast control slander. Was that his doing too? Falk's face paled, his trembling finger pointing at Leon. You're lying. I didn't. I'm not. Leon threw a cloth to the ground. I found this in your beast cave, church insignia, and your rosary shard. Kaylan advanced, his sword closing in on Falk. You tamed beasts in the church's name, planning to use Ella's runes for power. You're the true traitor. Cornered. Falk's eyes blazed with madness. So what? The church won't believe you. The king will trust me. Kill me, you're still doomed. He grabbed the Bible, hurling it at Kaylan. Kaylan dodged, his sword grazing Falk's arm. Falk yelped, then pulled a whistle from his robes, blowing hard. Its shrill note pierced the room, stinging my ears. You hear that? Falk grinned viciously. My soldiers are coming. You traitors are finished. Kaylan, protecting a heretic. You'll burn. Kaylan pulled me closer, shielding me fully, his wound still bleeding. I felt his heavy breaths, yet he held his sword steady, unwavering. I clutched his sleeve, nails digging in. Kaylan, what do we do? There are soldiers outside. He looked down, his brown eyes reflecting candlelight and my silhouette, soft yet resolute. Don't be afraid, he said, voice low, steadying me. I came here knowing I wouldn't let you get hurt. Footsteps and shouts grew louder outside. Drop your weapons. Surrender! Falk's eyes gleamed, shoving past Kaylan's sword toward the door. My men are here, you're done! Kaylan blocked him, their shadows clashing on the wall like beasts. I stepped back, fingers brushing the herb juice in my pocket, leftover from healing. Maybe I could use a rune to help him. Will Ella use a rune to aid Kaylan against the soldiers or restrain herself and seek another way? Between protecting Ella and leading his men against beasts, what will Kaylan prioritize? The icy wind cut like a blade, stinging my cheeks. Kaylan shielded me as we ran toward the city walls. The chill of the tribunal's chains still clinging to my wrists, clashing with the warmth of his palm, sending tingles through my fingertips. Behind us, the chaotic clamor of footsteps echoed from the tribunal. Falk's roars torn apart by the wind, yet slithering like a viper's tongue against my neck. Seize that heretic. She's the key to controlling the beasts. Faster, Kaylan urged, gripping my wrist, his hand slick with blood from his earlier wound, the warmth seeping through my rough gloves, a shudder in the cold. I matched his pace, my feet slipping on the icy cobblestones, my ears filled with our ragged breaths and a distant, guttural roar, not human, but the blood-soaked bellow of beasts from the ancient forest, now terrifyingly close. The city walls loomed like a slumbering serpent in the night, now ablaze with countless torches. As we reached the base, we collided with a squad of soldiers rushing down, their broken spears dripping with black ichor, faces etched with terror, shouting, "We can't hold them! Too many beasts!" Kaylan grabbed one, his voice commanding. "What's happening? Why are beasts attacking the city?" The soldier gasped, pointing to a breach in the wall. "They came out of nowhere half an hour ago, swarming the gates, some climbing up. Father Falk's on the ramparts, but he won't let us shoot. Says to wait for the right moment." The right moment? Kaylan's brow furrowed, pulling me toward the ramparts. I looked up, the torchlight flickering, revealing a crimson figure at the highest point, Falk. He held no weapon, only a clay jar pouring black liquid down the wall. It dripped onto the beasts below, calming their frenzy. They ceased ramming the gates, merely growling in circles. My heart sank. Leon was right, Falk was taming the beasts. "Captain Kaylan," Leon's voice rang out. He ran up with a few guard soldiers, clutching a cloth bundle. his face pale but eyes resolute. "Look at this, from Falk's beast cave. Feed mixed with church holy water. He's been raising these creatures." The bundle opened, releasing a sickly, sweet stench. Black granules glimmered with faint gold. The church's holy water. Kaylan examined a granule under a torch, his eyes icing over. "He's using beasts to force the king's submission, planning to use Ella's runes to control them and seize the crown." "That's not all." Leon stepped forward, voice trembling but clear. I overheard him with his confidants. The rune saint, Ella's mother, wasn't controlling beasts. She uncovered his beast, taming scheme, and was slandered and burned for it. The words struck like lightning, numbing my mind. My mother's death wasn't for heresy, it was for exposing Falk's plot. I clenched my fists, nails biting into my palms, tears falling not from grief but fury. The burned heretics, the villagers mauled by beasts, all pawns in Falk's power game. "Ella, watch out!" Kaylan shouted, yanking me into his arms. A deafening boom shook the ground as a section of the wall collapsed. Stones raining down. Kaylan shielded me with his back, grunting as rocks struck his shoulders. Yet he held me tight, buried in his embrace. I felt his heart pounding, smelled leather and blood, sensed his trembling pain. "Are you okay?" I reached for his shoulder, but he caught my hand. "I'm fine," he said, his voice warm against my ear despite his gasps. "Stay behind me." Falk spotted us from the ramparts, raising his jar, shouting, "Kaylan, hand over Ella. Her runes can command beasts. If she obeys, I'll call them off. Otherwise, the city falls." His voice echoed, soldiers pausing, their eyes on me, fearful, suspicious, hopeful. They thought sacrificing a heretic could save the city. Kaylan pushed me further behind him, stepping forward, sword aimed at Falk. "You're lying. You bred these beasts not to protect the city, but to force the king to beg, to let the church rule. You don't care about the soldiers or the people." "Care?" Falk's laugh was grotesque. "What are lives compared to royal and divine power, Ella? If you don't want the city flattened, come here and control the beasts, or you'll end like your mother." I glanced at Falk, then at the panicked soldiers, at Kaylan's bleeding shoulder, and gripped the herb pouch in my pocket. Chamomile and willow juice from the tribunal. My mother said runes were for protection, not sacrifice. I couldn't let her tragedy repeat or Falk's scheme succeed. "I won't help you," I said, stepping out from behind Kaylan. My voice shaky but firm. "Runes are nature's gift, meant to protect, not fuel your ambition. You want beasts to raise the city. Step over my body first." Falk's face turned ashen. He smashed the jar, shouting to the soldiers, "Forget the beasts. Grab Ella. Whoever catches her gets 100 gold coins and a knighthood." Some soldiers hesitated, but a few advanced with spears. Kaylan blocked me, his sword glinting. "Touch her, and you face my blade." Leon raised his spear, rallying the soldiers. "Falk's the traitor. He breeds beasts to harm the people. Stand with us, protect Ella, defend the city." A few soldiers lowered their spears, joining us, but most wavered, glancing between Falk and the approaching beasts. Torn. Boom. Another crash widened the breach, a beast's claw raking the stone, leaving deep gashes. Soldiers retreated, torches falling, flames dying in the wind. Kaylan glanced back, his eyes worried, resolute, and gently warm. "Ella, I'll get you to the breach." A louder roar cut him off as a massive beast surged through, its shadow engulfing us. I shut my eyes, but Kaylan tackled me down, shielding me as stones pelted his back, his grunt of pain sharp, yet his hold unwavering. Will Ella use runes publicly to protect the city, confirming her heresy, or seek another way, risking missing the chance to stop the beasts? What sacrifice will Kaylan make to buy her time to draw runes? Chapter 9. The Siege of Beasts and the Unveiled Plot. The wind sliced through the night, sharp as a blade forged in winter's heart, stinging my cheeks with icy needles. Kaylan's arm shielded me as we raced toward the capital's towering walls, the chill of the tribunal's iron chains still biting my wrists. His palm, warm and slick with blood from his earlier wounds, clasped mine, sending a searing pulse through my fingertips, a fleeting fire against the cold. Behind us, the clamor of footsteps from the tribunal faded, but Father Falk's venomous snarls cut through the gale, coiling around my neck like a serpent's hiss. "Seize that heretic. She's the key to taming the beasts." "Faster," Kaylan urged, his grip tightening, his blood staining my rough gloves. My boots skidded on the frost, glazed cobblestones, each step a jolt of pain, as if treading on shattered glass. Our ragged breaths mingled with a guttural roar. Deep, primal, not human. The beasts of the old woods. Their cries now clawing at the edges of the city, far too close. The city walls rose like a coiled dragon in the moonlight, their stone faces ablaze with 1,000 torches, casting trembling shadows. As we reached the base, a squad of soldiers stumbled down the ramparts, their armor smeared with black ichor, faces pale as bone. Their spears were splintered, their voices raw with panic. "They're breaking through!" one cried, pointing to a jagged breach in the wall. "Too many beasts, claws like scythes tearing the gates apart." Kaylan seized the soldier's arm, his voice steady but commanding. "What's happening? Why are they attacking now?" The soldier's eyes darted wildly reproductive health to the breach, his breath heaving. Half an hour ago, they surged from the forest, scales glinting like obsidian, tails like whips. Some are climbing the walls. Father Falk's up there, but he forbids us to shoot, says to wait for the right moment. The right moment. Kaylan's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing. He pulled me toward the rampart stairs, his hand firm on my wrist. As we climbed, the torchlight revealed a crimson figure atop the wall, Falk standing like a blood-soaked specter. No weapon in his hands, only a clay jar, its dark contents spilling over the stone. The liquid dripped down, pooling at the beast's feet below. Their frenzied roars softened to low, obedient growls, their spiked tails swaying calmly. My heart sank like a stone. Leon was right, Falk was taming them. "Captain Kaylan," Leon's shout broke through the chaos. He sprinted toward us with a handful of guards, clutching a cloth bundle, his face pale but resolute. "Look at this." He tore open the bundle, releasing a sickly, sweet stench. Black granules shimmered with a golden glow. Church holy water. From Falk's beast lair. He's been feeding them this, raising them for months. Kaylan held a granule to the torchlight, his gaze turning to ice. He's orchestrating the siege to force the king's surrender, planning to use Ella's runes to control the beasts and seize the throne. "There's more." Leon's voice trembled with urgency. I overheard him with his men. "Ella's mother, the rune saint, never controlled beasts. She uncovered his scheme, so he framed her and burned her." The words struck like a blade, slicing through my grief. My mother's death was no heresy. She died for exposing Falk's treachery. Tears burned my eyes, not from sorrow but fury. The burned heretics, the villagers torn apart by beasts, all were pawns in Falk's cruel game. "Ella, watch out." Kaylan's cry snapped me back. A deafening boom shook the ground as a section of the wall collapsed, stones raining down. Kaylan threw himself over me, his body a shield against the falling debris. His grunt of pain echoed as rocks struck his shoulders, but his arms held me tight, his heartbeat pounding against my chest. In his embrace, I smelled leather and blood, felt his trembling pain. "Are you okay?" I whispered, my hand reaching for his shoulder, but he caught it, his warmth searing through my glove. "I'm fine," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear. "Stay behind me." Falk's voice boomed from the ramparts, holding the empty jar aloft. "Kaylan, surrender Ella. Her runes can command the beasts. If she obeys, I'll call them off. If not, the capital burns." The soldiers froze, their eyes turning to me, fearful, suspicious, hopeful. They thought one heretic sacrifice could save them. Beyond the breach, the city screamed. Wooden rooftops splintered under the beasts' claws, their obsidian scales glinting as they tore through market stalls. Women clutched children, fleeing as flames licked the night sky, their cries piercing the chaos. Kaylan stepped forward, sword raised, its blade gleaming. "You lie, Falk. You bred these beasts to force the king to beg, to hand the church the crown. You'd let every soul here die for power. Power. Falk's laugh was a jagged blade. What are lives compared to divine rule? Ella, join me, or end like your mother, ash on a pyre. I gripped the herb pouch in my pocket, chamomile and willow juice from the tribunal. My mother's words echoed. Runes are for protection, not sacrifice. I wouldn't let her death be in vain. I stepped out from Kaylan's shadow, my voice trembling but firm. I'll never help you. Runes are nature's gift, meant to guard, not to fuel your greed. You'll have to kill me first. Falk's face twisted with rage. He smashed the jar, shards scattering. Forget the beasts, seize her. 100 gold coins and a knighthood to whoever brings her to me. Some soldiers hesitated, but others advanced, spears gleaming. Kaylan blocked me, his sword a silver arc. Touch her, and you face my blade. Leon raised his spear, rallying the guards. Falk's the traitor. He feeds the beasts to slaughter us. Stand with us. Protect Ella. Save the city. A few soldiers joined us, but most wavered, torn between Falk's promise and the beast's roars. The city burned brighter now, flames leaping from collapsed rooftops, screams of fleeing citizens echoing like a mournful chorus. A thunderous crash widened the breach. A beast's massive claw tore through, its scales black as midnight, jagged fangs dripping venom, its spiked tail lashing like a whip. Soldiers screamed, scrambling back, torches falling to the ground, their flames snuffed by the wind. Kaylan's eyes met mine, worry and resolve mingling with a tender spark. Ella, I'll get you to the breach. A monstrous roar cut him off. A colossal beast surged through, its eyes glowing amber, its claws ripping stone like parchment. Its shadow engulfed us, and I froze, but Kaylan tackled me to the ground, his body shielding me as stones rained down, his groan of pain sharp yet his hold unbreakable. Chapter 10. The runes in the wall's defense. The thud of stones against Kaylan's back rang louder than the beast's roar. Twisting my heart like a blade beneath him, I felt his shoulders shudder, not from fear, but agony. Jagged rocks had torn his uniform, dark blood soaking the fabric, staining my gloves with a burning warmth. "Don't look up," he whispered, his breath hot against my ear, his fingers gently pressing my neck, checking my safety. Above, the beast's fetid breath choked the air, its venomous fangs glinting in the torchlight, its spiked tail thrashing, splintering stone. I clutched the herb pouch, dried chamomile and willow juice, my last hope. "Kaylan," I rasped, buried in his arms. "I have to draw a rune." He stiffened, his eyes locking on mine, torchlight catching the stubborn set of my jaw. "No," he said, panic edging his voice. "Falk's watching. Use a rune, and he'll call you a witch. The soldiers will turn on you, but the beasts are inside." I grabbed his collar, my fingers brushing his bleeding wound. He winced but held steady. "Look!" I pointed to a young soldier cornered by a beast. His spear shattered, armor cracked, his scream raw with terror as the creature's claws slashed the air. Beyond the breach, the city burned. Rooftops collapsed in showers of sparks, flames roaring skyward, women's shrieks mingling with children's wails as they fled through smoke-choked streets. If I don't act, the city falls. My mother said runes are for protection, not hiding. Kaylan's gaze held mine for 3 endless seconds, the torchlight softening his scar. His warm hand brushed dirt from my cheek, stinging my eyes with tears. "All right," he said, his voice soft but ironclad. "I'll get you to the breach. Leon will hold them off. Draw your rune. I'll guard you." He pulled me up, turning to Leon, who charged forward with a squad of guards, their swords drawn, eyes fierce. "Captain," Leon tossed Kaylan a spear. "We'll hold the breach. Get Ella to the rune. The men know Falk's a traitor?" "They're with us." Kaylan nodded, guiding me to a stone ledge inside the wall's breach, sheltered yet close enough for the rune to seal it. He shouted to Leon, "Hold this ground. No beast gets through. For the city. For our families." Leon roared, rallying the guards. Their war cries shook the air, swords clashing against scales. I poured the herb powder, Biting my fingertip, my mother's words echoed. Blood strengthens protective runes, crimson mixed with willow juice, forming a pale green liquid that burned my fingers. The cold stone chilled my palm as I pressed it to the wall. "Do it," Kaylan said, standing guard. His sword aimed at the breach, his torn uniform billowing in the wind. "I've got you." I closed my eyes, breathing deeply, chanting my mother's spell. Not words, but a silent plea for protection, peace, life. My fingers traced the Earth Guardian rune, the greatest shield against evil. The green liquid spread, glowing like vines climbing the stone. My strength drained, my vision blurring, my fingers numbing. But I couldn't stop. Leon bled from a beast's claw. Soldiers faltered, their screams drowned by the city's burning chaos, crumbling walls, roaring flames, and panicked cries. "Ella, hold on." Kaylan's voice pierced my haze. A beast broke through, its obsidian scales flashing, its jagged fangs lunging for me. I flinched, but Kaylan's sword slashed its claw, black ichor spraying his uniform. He shoved it back, unwavering. "Focus, I'm here." His words warmed my fading body. I gritted my teeth, blood flowing, the rune's glow flaring brighter. With the final stroke, a shimmering green barrier unfurled, a vast net sealing the breach. The beasts slammed against it, their roars shaking the air. But the shield held, their claws scraping uselessly. Soldiers gasped, Leon stared, their fear turning to awe. My runes weren't sorcery, but salvation. Beyond the wall, the city's screams softened, the flames flickering as the beast's assault faltered. I exhaled, turning to Kaylan with a weak smile, but my vision darkened, my legs giving way. The cold stone never came. Kaylan's arms caught me, his warmth enveloping my waist, anchoring me to the world. "Ella, Ella." His voice trembled, his calloused fingers brushing my forehead. "Stay with me, talk to me." My eyes wouldn't open. "The rune. It won't last long," I murmured. "When I wake, we'll stop them." My voice faded, consciousness slipping, his heartbeat and soft whisper my only tethers. "I'll wait for you. We'll end this together." In my fading vision, a crimson shadow loomed on the ramparts, Falk his bow drawn, a poisoned arrow glinting, aimed at Kaylan's back. Its tip gleamed with venom, a promise of death. "Kaylan, behind you." I tried to scream, but my voice was a whisper, lost in the chaos as Falk's arrow flew. Chapter 11. The King's Verdict and the Church's Downfall. The arrow's wind grazed my ear, a venomous chill slithering up my arm as Kaylan held me, stirring the hairs on my neck. I was still half lost in a haze of exhaustion, sensing rather than hearing the danger. "Look out!" Leon's shout pierced the air, sharper than any beast's roar. Kaylan's body tensed, and he dove sideways, clutching me, our rough clothes scraping the marble floor. A dull thud echoed as the arrow struck the stone where we'd stood, black poison seeping into the cracks like a grotesque flower. "Falk," Kaylan's voice dripped with fury. He shielded me, grabbing his sword, its silver blade glinting in the palace corridor's candlelight. I forced my eyes open, catching a glimpse of Falk's crimson figure fleeing the ramparts. Leon with 2 soldiers chased after, their spears whistling through the air. "Are you all right?" Kaylan's fingers brushed my cheek, his knuckles bruised from hitting the stone. Yet he avoided my chain-marked wrists. "Can you hold on? The king awaits in the hall. We need to expose Falk's plot." I nodded, trying to rise, but he pressed my shoulder. "Don't move, I'll carry you." Before I could protest, his arms slid beneath my knees, lifting me effortlessly. The corridor's candles cast our shadows on gilded pillars, entwined like inseparable ghosts. In his arms, the blood on his uniform faded, mingling with the hall's sweet incense, calming my racing heart. The king's palace was more solemn than I'd imagined. Crystal chandeliers hung from the vaulted ceiling, their light scattering like stars on the crimson carpet. The king sat on his throne, silver crown gleaming, his face stern yet not immediately condemning. Ministers flanked him, clutching scrolls, their gazes cold especially when they saw Kaylan carrying a heretic. Like me, some wrinkling their brows in disdain. "Captain Kaylan, you stormed the palace with a branded heretic. Do you know your crime?" The king's voice was deep regal, but he didn't order our arrest. Kaylan set me on a cushioned seat, kneeling before the throne presenting Leon's cloth bundle. "Your Majesty, I come not in defiance, but with urgent truth. Father Falk, under the guise of purging heresy, has tamed beasts to force the city's surrender, plotting to use Ella's runes to seize the crown. He slandered her mother, the rune saint, burning her for uncovering his scheme. This is evidence. Beast feed mixed with church holy water and Falk's rosary shard." A minister took the bundle, his face paling at its contents, hastily handing it to the king. The king examined a granule under candlelight, sniffing it, his brow furrowing. "This is true, Falk. A church inquisitor dares such treachery." "I can testify, your Majesty." Leon burst in, dust from chasing Falk on his shoulder, kneeling firmly. "I found Falk's beast lair in the forest, and overheard him plotting with his confidants to use Ella's runes, forcing your Majesty to yield the crown." The hall erupted, ministers whispering, shadows flickering as candles swayed. I sat, fingers still numb, feeling a chilling stare. The archbishop, in purple robes, twirling rosary beads, his eyes hostile. "Your Majesty, don't trust their words. Ella's a heretic, and Kaylan may be bewitched by her sorcery. Falk is devout. How could he commit such acts?" "Devout," my voice, weak but clear, cut through. He shot a poisoned arrow at Kaylan from the ramparts, demanding I control beasts. My mother was burned as a rune saint for exposing his beast. Taming plot. How many innocents has he burned as heretics? The archbishop's face shifted, ready to retort, when the hall's doors crashed open. Falk stormed in with a dozen church soldiers, his crimson robes blood-stained, a dagger in hand, eyes wild. "How dare you slander me before the king? Kaylan, shielding a heretic is treason. Ella, your sorcery bewitches soldiers. You deserve death." The king rose, pointing at Falk. "Insolent fool, you dare bring soldiers into my hall." "What of it?" Falk sneered, lunging at the king, dagger gleaming. "You defy divine authority, favoring heretics. You're unfit to rule. I'll kill you. Seize the heretic and make Verona bow to the church." "Your Majesty, beware." Kaylan drew his sword, blocking Falk, their blades clashing with a sharp clang, sparks dying on the carpet. Church soldiers charged, ministers retreated, and the hall's candles flickered wildly, shadows warring like a nightmare. He watched Kaylan's back, blood seeping from his reopened wounds, his black uniform darkening, yet he stood firm before the king, each strike resolute. Leon raised his spear, with guard soldiers, halting the church's advance, their shouts and clashing blades deafening. My fingers warmed, rune power stirring. Too weak to stand, I couldn't let Kaylan bleed. I clenched my fist, blood cracking from scabs, pale green light leaking through, creeping along the carpet toward him. A blessing rune, my mother's teaching, needing no surface, only a heart set on protection. "Kaylan, behind you!" Leon shouted. A church soldier flanked Kaylan. Sword raised. Kaylan, locked with Falk, didn't see. My heart leapt, the green light flaring, wrapping his ankles like a shield. As the sword fell, the light burst, hurling the soldier into a pillar. His blade clattering. Kaylan froze, glancing back, eyes wide with surprise and a tender spark. Falk seized the moment, thrusting at Kaylan's chest. Kaylan grunted, but countered, slashing Falk's arm, blood splattering the throne like a stark bloom. You wield sorcery too." Falk clutched his wound, retreating, fear in his eyes. "Both heretics, you'll burn." I staggered to my feet, the green light still flickering. "This isn't sorcery, it's protection. You wouldn't understand, consumed by power and greed." Footsteps thundered outside, the city's guard captain with soldiers. He knelt. "Your Majesty, the church's remnants are subdued." Falk's confidants captured. Falk's face drained, his gaze darting between us and the soldiers. With a crazed cry, he lunged at me. If I die, I'll take you with me, heretic. How will the king deal with the church's remnants after Falk's defeat? Will Ella face a final crisis like rogue beasts, while calming them in the forest? How will Kaylan's eternal guardianship vow resolve the forbidden gap between their statuses? Chapter 12. The future of runes and a moonlit vow. Midnight's moonlight draped the ancient forest like gossamer, cloaking every leaf and root. I knelt by the old tree where I first met Kaylan, my fingers tracing herb juice and blood onto its bark, drawing an appeasement rune. Pale green light flowed, twining like vines, touching the ground, and coaxing faint green from withered grass. Distant beast growls softened, no longer feral but bewildered. Tamed too long by Falk's holy water feed, they'd forgotten the forest's peace. My mother's rune book lay open on my knees, its yellowed pages glowing under moonlight. Her elegant script whispering, "Runes aren't weapons but nature's whispers. Draw them with a heart to protect, and all will hear." I pressed my palm to the rune, pine scent and moonlight's chill filling my lungs. The warmth from my fingers sank into the bark, into the earth. A small black beast emerged, amber eyes curious, not vicious. I stayed still, murmuring my mother's calming spell, a soft, "Don't be afraid." It hesitated, then nuzzled my pant leg, the rune's glow soothing it. With a contented hum, it trotted into the forest. Others followed, their dark forms merging into the moonlight like a receding tide. "They're listening to you," Kaylan's voice, damp with night dew, came from behind. I turned, seeing him in the moonlight, his fresh black uniform free of blood, his scar a faint line. He held a cloth bundle, kneeling beside me as it unraveled, revealing my mother's rune book, its hemp cover embroidered with a daisy, thought lost in a barn fire. "This," my voice trembled, fingers hovering, fearing it was a dream. I thought it was gone. "Found it in a tribunal compartment," Kaylan said, placing it in my hands, his fingers brushing my palm, cool yet warming my eyes to tears. Falk kept it as heretic evidence, likely hoping to crack its secrets. I opened it, my mother's script vivid. A dried daisy fell from the last page. From my 10th birthday, when she said, "Daisies mean peace, see one, and I'm with you." Tears blurred the ink, but I smiled through sobs. "Mama, I did it. I used your runes to save the city, to protect those falsely accused." Kaylan said nothing, just wiped my tears, his touch gentle as if fearing to shatter the moonlight. His calloused fingers left a warm, itching trail, not the urgent protection of the tribunal or the desperate shield at the wall, but a tender, certain promise in this full moon forest. "The king's abolished the purge of heretics," he said, softer than moonlight. "He wants you to lead, to teach willing souls the art of protection, stripping the church's monopoly on defining heresy." I looked up, moonlight in his brown eyes reflecting my silhouette. No longer the timid girl behind him, but one standing beside him. "And you?" I whispered. "You're the King's Guard captain, bound to the city. I'll stay in the forest, guarding the beasts and runes." He clasped my hand, his warmth seeping through my gloves, echoing our first touch in the storage room. "Now free of oppression or taboo, I've resigned," he said, unwavering. "A captain guards the city, but I want to guard more than that." "You," I faltered, wanting to say it wasn't worth it, that our statuses clashed. But he cut me off. "No worth or unworth," he said, eyes on my hand holding the book. "By the fire, I promised to be your temporary light. Now I want to be the one beside you for every full moon rune, your steadfast shield." The rune's green glow flared, twining our clasped hands, binding our shadows under the tree. Villagers' cheers echoed from below news of the beast's retreat, mingling with pine rustles and moonlight, a gentle song. Looking into Kaylan's eyes, I understood. My mother's runes protected not just others but the heart, the one who crossed all taboos to stand with you. He helped me stand. The book clutched like my mother's hopes and our future's promise. Pine needles fell on our shoulders, and I recalled his dagger at my neck that first night. His words, "Pray only to me." Then I thought it captivity. Now I saw it was his first light in my darkness. Every full moon will draw runes here, all right? He asked, fingers hooking mine, sealing an unbreakable vow. He nodded, tears falling, no longer from sorrow. Moonlight gleamed, runes flickered, beasts vanished into the forest, and villagers' cheers rang on. Beside me stood the man who gave up honor to cross the forbidden line. Lowering my gaze, I saw a final line in my mother's book, scrawled as if in haste. If someone stands between you and the church or pyre, that's not taboo. It's the guardian runes choose.